Welcome, 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 welcome to the Purpose Walk podcast. Another one this week. Oh my goodness. I must say that the podcast has taken off so well. I'm really excited. And especially the one around my son. It's been really, really going well. A lot of you have come back and said you just really love the podcast where my son just sounds so mature, so loving, so caring, and full of compassion. And for me personally, my son's behavior, the man he is, the man he's become, in my opinion, is hugely based on the mother that I am and hugely based on who I am growing him up to be. And so in the episodes that we've done so far, so if you haven't checked out our episodes on the podcast, there are quite a few of them that we have, so please do check them out. We've got 3 sections of the actual podcast so far. We have Been Vulnerable, we have Business on a Shoestring, and we have Living in Purpose and Walking Purposefully. Today I'm going to continue under the Being Vulnerable post, and I'm going to talk to you about mental health. I'm going to talk to you about how that has impacted my family. And I'm going to tell you how it makes me feel, how it impacts the rest of us. And I hope that this podcast will help somebody who may be going through mental health challenges at the time, or, you might have somebody who's going through it, or you yourself may be going through it. It is something that most of us do not talk about. We're afraid to talk about the stigma, etc., etc. So I just wanted to talk to you today about mental health in my family and how we have dealt with it. So for those of us who don't know me, my name is Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. I should have said that at the start. I'm so sorry. I did not say that. I am the author of The Mango Girl. I'm an award-winning international speaker, life coach, business coach, book coach. I'm a friend. I'm a mother. I'm proud of the role as a mother. I've got 2 amazing children, and my daughter was meant to be on my podcast on Monday, and she felt depressed, and that led me to this conversation where I'll be sharing with you some of the vulnerable moments in our lives as a family, and how we have, I wouldn't say struggle because it's not been a struggle, how we have managed to cope with mental health challenges. So I'm going to talk about mental health in terms of 2 persons, myself and my daughter, because I think it's really hard to talk about somebody else's mental health without talking about my own. So for most of you who know my own story, I've gone through a lot. I've endured a lot. I've been raped at gunpoint. I've been sexually abused by my father and other people in my family. I've been homeless. I've had 2 failed marriages. I've lost everything. And when I say everything, my second marriage saw me losing everything. I lost my house. I barely had a car. I invested bad money. I lost money. I came down to ground zero. Now, when you've gone through all of the trauma that I have gone through and coming back down to ground zero, for most people I have met in my lifetime, when they hear my story, the first thing they say is, oh my God, how are you still smiling? Or, oh my God, how are you still so strong and powerful? And I want to say to you that I've not always been this strong and powerful. I've had days in my own divorce, in my own life, when I literally was dead. And I don't mean physically dead, but I might as well have been, because I was like an autopilot. I remember being in my house for 5 days. I was unwashed. I stank. I was literally stink. I hadn't washed my face, hadn't brushed my teeth, hadn't showered, and I could smell my armpits. I could smell myself, and I didn't care because I was so down. I was so low. I was so out of it. And there were moments in my life when I wanted to die. I've wanted to die. I remember a situation in Jamaica in my first marriage where I took tablets and I wanted to kill myself. I wanted to have an overdose because I felt empty. I felt alone. And when you go through my situation and you had no family support in the sense of emotional support, and you don't have the emotional capability to reconcile certain things in your mind, sometimes death seem obvious and seem the best answer. But I'm here to say to you that death did not take my life. I didn't take my life, and I have grown. And I want to teach you some of the things that I have learned throughout this podcast of how I dealt with my mental health. So my mental health has come in the form of post-traumatic stress. And I'm telling you the two ways it manifests for me are probably a couple of ways rather. One of the first things that happens to me, and I noticed it became a pattern, is that I became a worrier. I worry about everything. Oh my God, this is going to happen. Oh my God. And I used to worry a lot because I've always been a girl who I'd made life comfortable enough for myself after all I had gone through. And then I got to the point where I lost everything. I made some really bad decisions, bad relationships, bad investment, got robbed in some bad ways, which I'm working on this behind the scenes. I'm working on a project to outline some of the ways I've been robbed in my life financially. In the last 2 years, I've been robbed over £100,000, or probably $110,000. And I'm going to talk about that in another way, but I can't say that right now because I'm working behind the scenes on that. But when you get to the place where you lose everything and you have nobody to support you, you get to the place where you get depressed. And I've gotten depressed so many times, especially today, where I really had nobody. I didn't have enough support. So I have a few family friends and a few family members who have been support system. But my support system, I must say, ever since I was born, and I can recall, it has never been very strong. It's never really been family. It's always been family who I've made my family. And so I've really struggled. And so one of the things I do is I worry. I worried a lot. I no longer worry a lot. I mean, I've come to peace with myself and Christ, and I've got a good relationship with some amazing people in my life who I can call on and who I call my really root friends. I've got them in the form of Audrey Joseph, who's one of my closest friends. I've got them in the form of Jean Marie Thompson. I've got them in the form of, my daughter. I can go through certain things. I've got a sister I can talk to about some things. And I've got some other friends in and around that I can go to. Have my pastor and my friend Ida, who we've been friends since I was in high school, since I was in college. I've got Julie, who we've been friends since I was in year 8. So I've got some really strong people in my life I can go to. And there are other people's names that I haven't called. It doesn't mean that they're any less. I'm just citing a few names. Dario, I've got some strong people around me. The other way that my mental health, which is post-traumatic stress, manifests in my life, and I'm talking about current day, is that if I go to look at a house, whether I'm going to rent or I'm going to buy, my kitchen has to outlook. It has to look outside, and it has to look into a garden. Now, the garden doesn't always have to be at the front. It doesn't matter where it is. I have to have a kitchen that has an exit almost. I feel like I need to have a lot of exit. Now, I was talking to a relationship specialist once, and she said, oh, it means that you need to want to exit relationships. And probably that is one element, but I think it's more than that. I think for me is I want to be able to see an exit route. Because I was held up in a car with 2 gunmen with guns on me and my daughter, I constantly feel like, whenever I'm anywhere, I have to be able to see the exit. When I worked in corporate, after this, I always asked to sit. I cannot sit with my back to a door. So when I'm sitting down, in most cases, I'm really conscious of how I sit. And you know what? Some people might say, oh, but you're a coach. And you're right. I don't think it's been fearful. I just think it's been conscious and cautious and careful and sensible. So I sit with my back. I can't sit with my back towards the door, and that's okay. When I go to my car, one of the first things I do as I go into my car and into my house is to lock the door. When I go into my car, the first thing I do, and I'm conscious I have post-traumatic stress. I know that I do. I understand it. I get it. And it doesn't hold me prisoner. I'm just conscious it's there. And sometimes I feel safer this way. It's feeling safe. So when I come into the door, and I say to my son, Michael, all the time, Michael will come to the door and he will be taking off his shoe before he locks the door, night or day. And I'm trying to teach him, Michael, you come inside, the first thing you do is lock the door. It's not even about post-traumatic stress. It's common sense, and it's been safe. In my car, I got robbed in Market Street, I think it's called, in Montego Bay. I was going to go and pay my workers for the work they were doing in our house. And somebody snatched my bag. I had my window wound down and all my money was gone. So from there on, I learned that as I go into my car, I lock the door. These are some of my post-traumatic stress out of some of the things I've been through. Now, the other thing that is post-traumatic stress, in my view, based on how I operate, is that I always have to keep busy. I always have to have a project. And it's not that I'm distracting myself. It's a habit I've developed. Now, my daughter, on the other hand, has got post-traumatic stress. She's got mental health issues. She gets depressed. And for the last, oh my gosh, she's 21, going 22. I'd say for the last 11 years, we've been on a journey. Probably more so 9 years, we came to understand what was going on. And she gets depressive episodes. She gets really low. She doesn't sleep much, and it's really miserable. And as a mother, it's really hard to watch when she sometimes can't articulate what she is feeling and what she's going through. And one of the hardest things for me is that even today, as I do this, the 5th of December, which is my mother's birthday, happy birthday, Mama. I'm going to call you in a minute. So all of you don't know, my mom is in Jamaica. She gave birth to me at 16 years old, and I'm so grateful for that woman for taking me to the world. And today my mom turned 60. So 60, I think she's 60. Let me just do the math. Let me just not tell the lies on my mama. Let me just make sure my mom is the age I say she is. I think she's actually more than 60. My goodness. I'm actually taking out my calculator. I wish you guys could see me. And I keep telling you guys that in this podcast, we don't edit. In this podcast, we don't edit at all. We don't edit at all. We're not going to edit. We're not going to edit at all, because the reality of the matter is that we are seriously, we have to literally keep it as it is. So I am trying to do my mom's age because I want to know how old my mom is. And this is really bad because I should know, right? So today is my mom's birthday, and my mom had me. Yeah, my mom is 60. Oh my God, I'm going to have to give my mom a call because like that's 60 years old. So going back to that, I forgot what I was talking about. So my daughter struggles with her mental health. We've been in and out of, various institutions. We've done the Priory. We've had CBD. We've had psychotherapy. You name it. Trust me, we paid money to go to Holland to get treatment. And no, it wasn't marijuana. We're talking about medical treatment with psychologists and physiotherapists and all kind of brain people. And nothing has worked so far. And we're a bit frustrated. This is what I was saying. Because we have not yet gotten a proper diagnosis, and we're really struggling with between the NHS and privately to get this sorted. But as a mother, it's sometimes really hard to hear my daughter in pain, crying, and it's hard. And I remember we were afraid to talk about it, and she's like, "No, Mommy, don't be afraid." So I'm a Christian, and I pray, and I ask God, and I really hope that, her mental health is something that she will, one day learn to cope with better, and we can find some strategy and remedies that work. But let me say this, for those of us who are suffering with mental health, I say this to my daughter all the time. I say to her all the time, journal, affirm, go out and get fresh air, socialize when you can, because being alone in the house and being alone sometimes encourages mental health to get worse. Don't suffer in silence. Don't sit there and think there's no answer, there's no cure, or there's no solution. There's always a solution. So I want to say to you that, I just wanted to share that with you. So those are some of my little tips that I can give to you about mental health, about how we have struggled. My daughter's a beautiful, amazing child. It doesn't stop her functionality in terms of going to work, etc. And I really hope that I really hope that in time, you too will realize that mental health is not something to be ashamed of. It's not a stigma that you should even take on your body, your place. For those of us who are insensitive to people's mental health, I believe all of us have a mental health challenge. And so if ever I can help you as a coach or a trainer or a speaker, let me know. I generally tend to say to my clients who, is look into yourself, start looking at the beautiful things about yourself. Don't affirm that you're ill. Affirm the gracious creature that God created you to be, the amazing human being you are, and then take it from there. I hope that helps somebody. I went as honest and vulnerable as I could. We as a family we're managing our mental health, daily. It affects us in various ways. We live in the UK where it's not always sunny and it's hard, but we hang on in there. So if I have helped you in any way, please comment below, share with somebody and pass it on and let them know that it's nothing to be ashamed of. All of us have it. and we all need to find a strong person to lean on. The other thing I want to say to you real quickly before I wrap up this is that if you want to come on my podcast, please let me know. I'm looking for some great interviews, some great people to come on here and talk about how you find purpose, being vulnerable. These are the stories I want. I want people to be empowered when they walk away from here. But also that you check up on somebody, check up on your strong friend. You don't understand that sometimes the strongest people are the ones struggling. There's some days when I'm really low and down, and it's the people who love me the most who reach out and check up on me. I was talking to somebody this week, and she said, Ava, you're not yourself. And after I came off the call, I realized I was snapping. And I don't know if you guys know, but I'm fully menopausal, and it's really a miserable, uncomfortable state, but I'm really trying not to even lean into that. So I was just feeling so flushed and so, a little bit miserable. And she said, you're not yourself. And she loves me dearly. And if you're listening to this podcast, you know who you are. She said, you're not yourself. I think I was a bit snappy at her. And it happens, so we have to check ourselves as well and check up on the people in our lives. It's Dr. Ava Eagle Brown. My book is called The Mango Girl. If ever you want to hang out with me and check out the work I do, please check the notes in the podcast. Have a great day, and let us hear about how you maintain and look after your own mental health. Thank you much. Goodbye.